Hello everyone, I'm Caroline. I come from Sweden and I'm a student of Sat Shree. Right now I'm in the Satya Dharma community here in Washoe Valley in Nevada, USA. I'm here for a 3 months residential program and training retreats and all of those things. So I was preparing for setting the intention of what to speak to and to share in my story of my path and some extracts from that. And I asked myself, how can I describe the greatest gift I've ever had? How can I express that with words? So that something from my heart can be transmitted to the ones that shares the same heart as I do. That is my intention. So I'm going to start with when I was young. It was not a great part of my life. I always felt that, I was a happy kid. I didn't have any great problems. We grew up in a nice house, in a nice area, in a nice town and all of those things. But when I started to be more self-conscious, I never really felt that I wasn't that happy as other people seemed to be, and there was always this sense of unease. And that kind of escalated from my early teens up in my teens, and it just got worse and worse, I could say. What I know now is that I was in dejection at that time, but I didn't have those words back then. I didn't have that type of context. I did not know that that is a state of being. I just knew that I couldn't enjoy anything. I thought that, okay, this is how life is, this is how it's supposed to be. Some people seem to be able to enjoy it. I am not one of those. But I didn't reflect over my state of being in that sense. It was just, that was my life. And I compared myself to others a lot. I thought that there was something wrong with me, that I needed to become different. And I hadn't understood what other people had understood about living or life. And I tried really hard. I adapted in so many ways. But nothing really worked, and there was just this pressure building up that I didn't know what to do with. I could say that I was almost like in a constant feeling of, no, not this, not this, not this, not this, like a restlessness almost. And that there were nothing that could truly, truly satisfy me. Like there was nowhere I got a sense of relief. So when I became a teenager, most of my time was focused on how I could numb myself in the best, most effective ways. I was the typical teenager. I couldn't stand, life, being in life. I was really rebellious. I did a lot of drugs. And had that type of, I'm living for the day type of mentality. And screw this, I don't care. I'm just going to do what I want. But I did care. I think I cared so much that it was too painful to be with. And what I know, what I at least have the experience of now, that I didn't know then, was that that was a longing. It was a burning longing. And it was like something within me knew that there was a purpose that I hadn't found. And that the suffering I felt was just the pain of feeling the separation from that. And yeah, it was not easy days. And there was this guy I was seeing at that time, my boyfriend. And he had gotten this book from his mom. I don't remember what it was called, but it was from a woman called Annette Karlström, a Swedish Swami, I think, which I didn't know anything about at that time. And I was not much of a book reader, but there was a CD within. So I was home in my mother's apartment, and I just, I put the CD on. And she sang something that I never heard before. She sang Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. And I'd never heard anything like that. I didn't know what a mantra was or anything like that. And I just, like it cracked me open. I just cried and cried. Oh. Yeah, I get touched by just speaking about it. Oh. Yeah, so something, I got touched by it, and I didn't know what it was, and but there was a part that just knew that there was something with this. I couldn't put my finger. It was something that just got some kind of space at that moment. And that experience faded. I continued doing what I did, and a few days after that, maybe it was a week or so, I was with my friends. We shared the same destructive type of interests, and we were in my apartment, and all of a sudden I just had this voice that spoke to me that said, what are you doing here? Like, why are you with these people? They don't care for you, you don't care for them. And it felt weird because it was a voice that pierced my thoughts. And it said also, if you continue doing this, you will become that, you know that, right? So it kind of shook me, and yeah, I also felt a bit psyched, like, oh, am I going crazy or something? So I just had to tell everyone to leave, which was not something I felt comfortable with, but it was quite overwhelming. And when I was alone after that, it was like I hit a peak almost of anguish. Like I felt I couldn't hold the pressure anymore. I was not capable of holding everything down in the way I had done before. So it broke me in a way. And I also knew at that time that I did not know about words of surrender or those types of things, but I just knew I have to give up. I don't know what to do. I have no idea of what to do. So, and everything happened quite quickly after that. I told my mom about how I lived, And I mean, she's my mom, so of course she is wise, she knows, but she had tried to reach me, but I was I was not contactable, or what you could say in those types of terms. And I said, I can't do this by myself, I need help, you please just help me. And after that, sometime I went to a rehab at the hospital, and then I got support I was put in an institution for youth, and after that I was in another type of place, but all in all, together in a year or so. And it was such a relief for me. I had no problem with, being locked in or something like that. It just felt like I was in kindergarten again. I was served food, I had structure. I just was such a relief. I had a pause. I was given a pause. And I was very cared for by the people who were there and all of those things. Of course, I didn't know what I was going through, but it just felt like, I'd kind of checked into a stream or something that felt purposeful. And that, some year or so in total I was in those two places, and shortly after that I came home, and it was not fun at all. I didn't have any friends. I had one, Moni, my best friend from home, that has been with me since I was young. I had gained so much weight. There was people who had talked about me. I couldn't control what they were saying when I was away. It was not nice. And I mostly spent time with my mom or my brother. And there was this cafe that I really, really loved. With they had teas and interesting things to look at. It smelled nice in there, and it was like a place we went to. And there was this guy who owned the cafe with his wife Betty. He had this big mustache, and one day he said, do you want to come to satsang tonight? And I said, yeah, well, what's that? And he said, well, come, you will find out when you come. And I looked at my mom, and she said, yeah, let's do that. So we, it was the same day. We went home, rested a bit, and came back. And I came into the room, and there was this man who sat in the front of the room. It was kind of a lecture setup, although he had a table next to him with pictures of old guys and flowers. What I now know to be was Ramana Maharishi, Papaji, and Herakan Babaji. Yeah, so I just placed myself in front of him, like there was the front row and there was the middle, and he was just in front of that, and I placed myself there, and he started to speak, and I just questioned everything he said. Why? Why are you saying that? What does that mean? Blah, 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 all of those things. And it was an experience of, he answered every question, and every answer fulfilled me. And it was just like my soul singed. Like it was almost like the experience of being heard and seen for the first time. That part of me that had never had any air time in my life, that got so much space. So something relaxed there, I think. I don't think, I know. And I didn't know about yoga more than that I really wished to be flexible, and that I had taken a course one time that I got from my mom because I was so stiff, and I had this dream about being this, really, flexible yogi girl. But I was given, it's like I got a direction from there. I followed it, and I went for retreats with him. He had satsangs. I emailed him about my thoughts and all of those things. So I was cared for in that way. And later on I met his guru, Vikash Acharya, that also lives in Sweden, and he became my guru. I studied with him. We went to India. We went for pilgrimage in the Himalayas. And there was this, sense of, yeah, I have found something. This is for me. And yeah, things kind of quieted down. I was living a totally different life, working, and I also, had my life there with friends and so on. Everything was quite good. But then I started feeling restless, like, it's so slow here in this small city. I want to move to a big city. I grew up in a small town in Sweden. So I took my things and moved to Stockholm. And I got a job that some people dream about. I started making a career. I went to school for a period. I didn't make a conscious choice of it, but like my professional life started, I made a career within fashion PR. I got to travel the world, meet interesting people, and it felt like, yeah, I'm living a really cool life. I felt quite important, and I did that for 6 years or something. And it was so valuable to me. It is valuable to me. But after those 6 years, it was almost like something started bothering me again. Like, I have this amazing life. I have all of these things. But I feel miserable. I feel stressed. I have money. I can go to massages and go to spa, but it doesn't really, soothe in a way. I get relaxed for the moment, but not more than that. And that was 2018. And it was the same year as I met my partner, Gabriel, that I have now. And again, this thing shows up on Facebook, Satsang with Sat Shree. And I just saw this picture of this American guy, and I had said, no, I'm not, I'm not going to a satsang with an American guy, because my guru before had been from India, and that was the thing that I considered, the real deal. But satsang is something that I hold sacred, and it doesn't show up often. It just popped up to me as an event on Facebook there, and so I went, and my partner came with me, and there he was, Sat Shree. And I came into the room and I saw him, and I saw why his wife is sitting there on stage. What's she doing there? And and then he started talking about his awakening, and I had this idea, who talks about his enlightenment, and all of these judgments, because it was, I was not used to those things, but while that was going on, that part of me that held all of those thoughts, something really, really real was happening. Like I had the experience of that I experienced my body. Like I felt that I'm alive in a body. I had never done that before, and I had not reflected on it, but it's like when I look back on it, it was almost like I had existed within my awareness before that. I was just, so that those thoughts, judgment, or whatever, they couldn't withstand what was taking place, like the experience that was the immediate experience. So, I got contacts there. I started participating with the Swedish Sangha, the Swedish community. I went to meditations once a week. It was back then, it was 2018, 2019. And it felt like something was being reorganized in my life. I didn't really know what, but I had this sense of direction again. Like my attention was focused towards something else. And then 2020 COVID came, which of course is terrible, but for me in this sense it was a blessing, because all of a sudden everything is available digitally on Zoom. I was working a lot, so I couldn't travel the world for retreats and those things. So I just started participating in everything, every program, every satsang, meditations, everything I could do, and I just wanted more and more and more. I still do. And that's when I experienced that things started to accelerate in a different type of way for me. I was given a context, the Gita, for what was taking place, for what had taken place in my life. So I started to get the right type of information. There was huge transmission from Sat Shree and Sangha in the programs. And I started making friends in the Sangha. I was really impressed by the Sangha. I was like, wow, these are really, really tough, people that I'm, I want these people to be my friends. They were in it for, the real deal. That's how I felt. And then summer came, and there was this 6-day program. We're going to have a 6-day program. It starts tomorrow also. Fire and Heart is the name of it. And I can say that retreat really, really changed my life. Everything changes one's life in one way or another, but that was really... I felt during the retreat that something was building within, like cooking. I didn't know what it was, but it was a huge experience within. During the meditations and Sat Shree's talks, and the small groups, I could feel like, it was this extraordinary. I couldn't touch what it was, but it was like a really felt experience. And in the end of the retreats, we were allowed to come forward and ask questions, because we've been in silence other than in the groups, the small groups. And I pressed the raise hand button on Zoom. I was in my home. I had this little place where I was sitting, had made my own meditation space. And I hadn't really come forward with Sat Shree before in that way either, but I just knew that I had to do that. But I don't know, I was nervous also. There was a lot of, excitement because, yeah. And I was hot-spotted in Zoom, and I came forward, and it was like this pause. And I didn't know what to say. I was just totally in this experience that it kind of culminated, It was momentum when I was there. And I just looked at him, and he said, "You don't have to say anything. You're feeling the purpose of why you are alive. You're feeling the purpose of why you are here." And when he said that, I knew that what he said was true. And it was not through my mind or like words on a paper, but it was like the human in me got to feel, not just know somewhere up here, just to totally feel, why am I here? What's the purpose of my life? And it was felt. And it was just like, the greatest conditioner, yeah, it's hard to even put words on it, but like the greatest grace. And it's not something that has come and gone, and like Sat Shree, he used to say that it has come and grown. So, and that is my path. It's like I struggle and I try, but that part is there all the time. Like it washes away all of the things that stands in the way for this work. And that is the truth. And Sat Shree also says that truth manifests as love. And that is what I felt. And I'm also not speaking about, the Hollywood type of love. It's the type of love that burns. It's a type of love that, melts you into oneness with yourself. And it's not a human love either, but a human experiences the love. And once I tasted this, I knew that there was no turning back. That this is something that's worth living for. And it's also the part that makes, what we would do here. We work to small groups, we process things that comes up, the unmet parts of ourselves, the unwanted, unseen, all of those things that kind of veils us from being in immediacy with existence. That those sensations are what makes it all worth it. So before I could think like, oh, what are they doing there? That seems to be so boring. Why are they, taking it easy, being silent or processing emotion? Why would one choose that? Yeah, now I know why. So it's a living from another place. And it's not about becoming something else. It's about remembering what's already always been here. But I need help and support with coming into remembrance of that. And that is the greatest gift. And if my existence could, make just one person come in contact with that, I would be so happy. And all the habits are still there, but it's a constant unwinding. Sat Shree says to meet what's in the way of divine and to recognize divine. That's what we do. And nothing is personal, it's just showings. And my life is not about anymore of increasing the sum total of the who I am, but to recognize more and more of the what I am, and it's freedom. And it feels like I'm living my dream. Yeah. Thank you.